Is this work? Is this work?
Yes! Run for my overwhelming power!
Alright, so... if you can, let me be party leader, and then I'll see if that works.
Wait, hang on. Oh, this pyro's about to... Hello guys, I'm the Gamer 10, and welcome back to more Team Fortress 2. In the last episode, we looked at the practical problem solver, the engineer. In this episode, let me tell you, everyone loves a good healer. Healers keep the team in the fight longer, theoretically forever even, and are the heart and soul of the team. To me, the most memorable healer is the guy who views his team not as those he's trying to keep alive for altruistic reasons, but because they're most useful to him for experimenting on and for killing those who try to kill him. Basically, take the mad scientist archetype and give him the role of the team's healer, and that's exactly what you get with Medic.
Now, most hearts couldn't withstand this voltage, but I'm fairly certain your heart...
What was noise?
The sound of progress, my friend.
I'm going to get this out the way first. Medic is my favorite personality of all the mercs. I love how he only really heals his patients just for experimentation and to keep himself safe by having them do the brunt of the fighting. He's the mad scientist archetype drawn to a comical degree. Anyway, let me tell you, Medic is the most powerful class in the game. More than Sniper, more than Heavy, more than Demo Man, and you'll see why when we look at his secondary weapon. But first, let's talk about Medic's overall gameplay. Medic is a unique class when it comes to health. He has 150 max HP at base, which is enough to help him survive more things than, say, Scout, but he still falls to one headshot. He walks slightly faster at base as well, being 7% faster than NG or Sniper, which helps him in getting to injured teammates faster. Medic is unique amongst his peers in that he passively regenerates health, like if you were using the Conqueror or Cozy Camper. The longer Medic goes without being damaged, the faster he'll heal, up to 6 health per second. While this doesn't mean you should completely ignore healing sources as Medic, especially if you're heading into battle, you have a bit of wiggle room in this regard. Medic isn't designed with head-to-head combat in mind. Medic's main means of self-defense is his patient, which is pretty unreliable, but we'll talk more about that later. With this in mind, it makes sense as to why Medic has regenerating HP. Let me tell you about his weapons. Medic's stock primary weapon, although it should really be his secondary, is the syringe gun. This thing... well, okay. It's a bit like the nail gun from Quake or Scout's nail gun from back when TF2 was in beta. At a rate of 0.105 seconds, this thing shoots projectile syringes that can't be air blasted, but they are projectiles all the same, so you need to account for their arcs. They do kind of appreciable damage up close, that being 12 damage in close range. As enemies get farther away, however, the syringes definitely fall off in terms of both damage, 5 damage at long range, and precision. I mean, it's not god-awful, and any damage to protect yourself is never unwelcome, but let's just say there's a reason you almost never see even intermediate medics use this thing. Now, this weapon. Actually, no. This isn't a weapon, it doesn't do damage, but it's the reason your enemies are dead. The Medigun. The Medigun heals teammates and disguised enemy spies, watch out. If you're healing a teammate whose movement speed is faster than yours, most notably Scout, you actually share that movement speed as long as your beam is connected to them. The speed of healing on teammates is based on whether or not they've taken damage recently. At a 100% heal rate, that being up to 10 seconds after they took damage, the Medigun heals at a rate of 24 HP per second. At max ramp up, being over 15 seconds since they took damage, the Medigun heals at a rate of 300%, which is 72 HP per second, which is insane! At that rate, a Heavy goes from 1 HP to 300 HP in less than 5 seconds, and to 450 HP in just over 7. This gargantuan HP value is due to a thing called overheal. When a medic heals his patient to beyond their max HP, they'll enter into an overheal state, up to 150% their max HP by default. This allows his patient to survive much more than they could by default. For instance, an overhealed Scout has more HP than base Demo Man or Pyro. This Scout can survive a big firefight with many explosions and bullets flying all around that he otherwise would falter to without that overheal. As for who your ideal overheal target should be in a fight, well... That really depends on the game state and the player's own judgment, so I can't really give any particular examples. I'd say Heavy is pretty tough to justify against an Air Blast Happy Pyro. Scout may maneuver away from the medic. These are some negatives to consider. But Demo Man is ideal for taking out a sentry nest. Heavy is an absolute unit when he has a medic behind him. Soldier can rocket jump more often. There's nothing wrong with overhealing anyone on your team. Overheal does decay over time if the Metagun's beam is taken off the patient and decays down to regular max HP, so you need to keep that in mind while healing someone. We're almost done, don't worry. Let's talk about Uber Charge. As the Metagun heals, it slowly builds up a meter called Uber Charge. When this meter is full, with the click of your right mouse button, Medic enables what is essentially God mode for both himself and his patient for 8 seconds until he switches to another weapon and or the Uber runs out. Uber Charge is what breaks stalemates in this game. An Ubered power class, say Soldier, Demo, or Heavy, can storm into an important choke point, sentry nest, or other area and clean out any enemies without losing a single point of HP. This is why Medic is the most powerful class in the game. Let that sink in. God mode for 8 seconds. A lot can happen in 8 seconds of invulnerability. An entire point clear for the taking. A cumbersome sentry nest reduced to scrap. There's a few caveats you need to understand in regards to Uber Charge. Uber builds only if you're healing other people. It builds quicker when you're healing someone and their health is actually going up, 2.5% Uber per second to be exact. However, once your patient reaches maximum overheal, you only get 1.25% Uber per second. Not terrible, but it's a way to discourage pocketing. The more you spread your heals around, the more Uber you gain. This isn't to say pocketing is always bad, just don't forget about the other people on your team. Whew, okay, I think we're done. Alright, time for the melee. The Bone Saw is a standard melee weapon, so it has the same swing speed and damage output as most other stock melees in the game. It's not amazing, but hey, I suppose it's alright if you're in a pinch? Well, alright. The syringe gun is relatively unreliable even in close quarters, and a medic who's done some healing recently actually has an increased chance of a random crit. I don't know why this is allowed, but it's a thing. I'm not going to say hope for a random crit if someone's in your face and you have the bone saw out, as you might be disappointed when the crit doesn't show. But know that this is the cause of Medic's seemingly insane random crit rate. As for the bone saw itself, well, it's outclassed by its other melees, especially a certain one. Before we go into Medic's role on both the offense and defense, I need to get something out of the way first. Medic is the most powerful and thus most important merc in the game. Hands down. He's able to keep a fight going theoretically forever, and a good medic can decide the fate of the mid-fight or the entire game even. Every TF2 player worth their salt realizes this, and you can probably guess where this is going.
Oh, NG to help us out.
There's a reason Medic is a rare species in-game. Medic usually feels something like this. If you pick Medic, expect to die. A lot. Like, a lot. You, as a medic, are the primary target of any pick class. Sniper, scout, spy, soldier, demo. Everybody wants your doctoral ass dead. You're more or less choosing to be public enemy number 1 when you pick medic. This wouldn't be so frustrating if relying on your pocket wasn't as inconsistent as chunky peanut butter a year past its expiration date. Like I mentioned before, Medic's main means of self-defense is his pocket, and you're not always going to bond with a pocket with good game sense and awareness. They may barely register someone flanking behind you, guide you into cover, or really just perform any kind of protection. Yeah, it's really nice to pocket people who swear to guard you with their lives and do so, but that feels really nice because it's so rare to see that. This all is what you have to realize if you decide to play or even main Medic. Medic is comedy and tragedy. He's a grim joke. He's a fragile power. Right, well, that was melodramatic. Anyway, Medic is a good pick for any kind of game state in TF2. Everything centers around the Medigun, whether you're playing offense or defense. On offense, it's good to have you in your pocket push forward, since overheal gives your patient a lot of wiggle room to take damage. If you're healing a mobile class like Scout, Soldier, or Demo Man, I recommend running the Quick Fix, which we'll talk about later. If you're kinda stagnating while pushing, you may want to use your go, go, go command by pressing Z, then pressing 3, and free-to-plays can talk and use voice commands again, so now there's no excuse. This can signal your patient to push forward, unless you have reason to suspect why they're not pushing. It's a bit hard to explain this, as this is assuming that psychologically between two people, everything's working as intended. Communication is a good tool. On defense, you typically want to pocket a class that's good at defending not just the objective, but yourself as well. I think heavies, demos, and soldiers are great for defensive pockets, given their tyrannical damage output and ability to lock down nearly any area. Bear in mind that they're not useful in all situations. They suffer at long ranges, for example. But for a choke point or a more closed-off control point, they're nonetheless fantastic pockets. Of course, a good medic spreads heals to his entire team. Any class with overheal is going to survive more than they could at regular max HP, no duh. So please, spread your heals around when you can, even if you're pocketing someone. That's more damage the entire team can handle. Medic has, I think, the fewest unlockable weapons in the whole game. Let's start with the Blutsauger. Every time you hit an enemy with this weapon's syringes, you regain 3 health in exchange for having a weaker health regeneration on yourself. You only gain 2 HP per second at max ramp up. This weapon is meant to be something you can retreat with. While an enemy is chasing you down after, say, killing your pocket or they get the drop on you from the flank, you can fire this thing and heal back some of however much damage they do. The Blutsauger is a pretty okay side grade to the syringe gun. It's not incredible, I mean it's just the stock syringe gun but different, but if it works, it works. The Overdose is, well, it's kinda like the Blutsauger but worse. Well, alright. You do less damage overall, being 15% less painful than with its contemporaries, but its main draw is dependent on your Uber charge. As your Uber builds, you get a bigger and bigger movement speed bonus from this thing, up to a maximum of 20% faster with full Uber. This translates to 2% faster every 10% Uber. What kinda sucks about this is that you need to be holding the Overdose out in order to take advantage of that speed buff. Like the Blutsauger, this is meant to be a retreating weapon, only it's meant to get you out of there faster instead of healthier. But even then, that speed means nothing next to a Scout. I mean, I think if the speed buff was passive and you could use it even while holding out your other 2 weapons, I think there'd be pretty interesting plays you can make with this. Alas, we're left with a confusingly mediocre weapon. It's annoying because it's almost good. A famous funny Rocket Man once said, "Eat ass, go fast," but let's be honest, you'll only be eating ass with how much you tend to die in a blind panic after pulling this thing out to attempt a getaway. Now, the syringe guns themselves are pretty underwhelming, but let me tell you, the last of Medic's primaries isn't so. The Crusader's crossbow. This is the primary weapon that you'll be using almost exclusively. Now, the stats say you don't get headshots with this thing, which sounds a bit confusing as you can't headshot at all as Medic. This is merely in reference to Sniper's Huntsman, a similar weapon that does get headshots. As well, you have a reduced overall ammo count, so you shouldn't fire this thing all willy-nilly. But the crossbow is unique among Medic's kit. It fires a single large projectile instead of a stream of smaller ones. It also has reverse ramp up. The farther you are from your target, the more damage the crossbow does. And this thing does some pretty nasty damage from far away. But the main draw of this weapon is the bolts heal your teammates. And yes, the healing is scaled based on distance from your teammate. Impressive damage, high skills healing, worthwhile support effect? Damn, color me impressed. Why couldn't the rest of the syringe guns get this much thought? I don't think Medic has a single bad Medigun unlock. Starting off, the Kritzkrieg is great. This thing gains Uber 25% faster than stock, so you'll be pumping out more Uber charges than usual. It has a niche property in its weapon taunt that heals you for 10 HP, which isn't fantastic, but it's nice to have. What does Uber charge do on this weapon? Rather than make you and your patient invincible, your patient, and technically you, gains guaranteed critical hits for 8 seconds, allowing them to completely demolish entire teams in a couple shots or even just one explosive. The Kritzkrieg is insanely fun, but you have to remember something. It trades being an impenetrable wall for giving godlike power. In this case, the god bleeds. You are still just as vulnerable during your Uber as you were before. It's still just as easy to get backstabbed, flanked, headshot, whatever doing your Uber, and when you die, the rest of that Uber goes right to waste. You still have to play carefully and position yourself defensively while using the Kritzkrieg, but when you go on these entire tears with your pocket, it's a sight to behold. Those crits were gained through the power of friendship, so it's automatically less infuriating than random crits. The quick fix is interesting. It gains Uber charge slightly faster than stock, but only gives half the overheal. One of the main draws of this weapon is the faster heal rate, 40%, which allows Medic to more quickly heal his patients so they can get back in the fight faster. On top of that, you're able to mirror the blast jumps and shield charges of your patient, allowing Medic to be far more mobile than he was previously. Last but not least, Uber charge increases your patient's healing rate to 300% as well as heal and grant overheal to yourself, while also making you and your patient immune to movement impairing effects like knockback and Pyro's air blast. It basically allows you and your patient to bulldoze the enemy by nearly instantly healing whatever damage you take while running forward with reckless abandon. See, Uber charge's main weakness is movement impairment. Pyros can easily shut down an Uber push just by air blasting you into the air. The quick fix gives the finger to those Pyros and allows you to continue on your merry way, as long as you don't get backstabbed or headshot or smacked with a Crockett. Just like with the Kritzkrieg, you're not invulnerable while Ubering, bear that in mind. The Vaccinator? Oh man. You gain Uber charge faster than any of the other mediguns in exchange for a shortened Uber on overhealed patients, as well as a slower overheal build overall. But the Vaccinator grants a 10% resistance buff to its selected damage type, bullets, explosives, or fire, and you swap these resistances with your reload key. When Ubering, you and your patient get a resistance bubble that lasts for 2.5 seconds and grants 75% resistance to the selected type, as well as crit immunity to the selected type. This means that, with Uber charge, Crockets are meaningless, headshots are equivalent to body shots, and the backburner is just the stock flamethrower. You basically never die to whatever selected damage type you're resisting, and you can store up to 4 individual Uber charges with this thing. And the Uber lets you use 2 resistance types during its duration. Still, it's entirely possible to get overwhelmed by that damage type even while Ubering since, once again, you're not invulnerable during an Uber. On top of that, there's no such thing as melee resistance, so, say, a Demo Knight will still be able to chop your head off. Still, you might as well be invulnerable given that shield. The Vaccinator is really frustrating to fight against, given the sheer ability to tank whatever Medic's selected damage type is. The Amputator is a thing? Well, okay, it's more interesting than I may make it seem. It changes your health regeneration rate to a flat 3 HP per second, regardless of how long it's been since you were injured. Its all-fire lets you taunt with the weapon to heal every one of your teammates and disguised enemy spies around you in a medium-sized radius, which does give you a bit of Uber charge when you use it. This is all in exchange for the Amputator having a meaningful 20% damage penalty, so not incredible, but not terrible. The Amputator basically frees you to be a bit more reckless by making you output more healing overall and allow you to roleplay as a dispenser. With that said, you do stand perfectly still while taunting, and also have to be somewhere you can taunt to use this effect, so I hope you love pressing G a ton to try and heal your whole team in range at once. I also hope that the 3-4% of Uber built was worth being in some spy's clip compilation. The Vitasaw is in exchange for having 10% less max HP, which is pretty meaningless in the long run even if it can screw you over sometimes. Every time you hit an enemy, yes, an enemy, don't let the stats confuse you, you collect one of their organs, and these organs allow a medic to retain some Uber charge after dying, 15% per organ up to 60% Uber. After that, it just becomes the stock bonesaw since any organs collected after don't do anything, which is disappointing. What the Vitasaw is supposed to be is a form of life insurance, but I'm fairly certain State Farm gives you better life insurance. It's ridiculous that this thing gets random crits, since you'd think you want to keep your enemies alive for longer so you can get more organs. I don't. Basically, you lose 10 health but gain the ability to save Uber Charge after death by doing the one thing most deadly to a medic. But hey, your taunts now sound really cool. That's a neat thing, right? Right? Solemn Vow is... Okay, this is the weapon that I can just call a thing. You swing at 10% slower in exchange for seeing an enemy's health. Yep. That's it. I guess it lets you pick your fights better, but why would you do that as a medic? If you're regularly communicating with your patient, it could maybe be useful, but why would you need to see enemies' health as a medic? Here's a joke. Spy gave this to Medic as a joke, but Medic, being the psychopath that he is, decided to ignore the text on it and... Oh. Uber saw Medic's beloved. This is a very simple weapon. Thinking about it, a lot of Medic's weapons are, but it gets pretty nuts. You swing this thing 20% slower, but with each successful hit on an enemy, you gain 25% Uber charge. 4 successful swings and that's a full Uber. Granted, you're better off not going for those 4 successful swings, given the swing speed might screw you over even on an unaware enemy, but still. Letting this thing top you off so you can make a getaway or turn back to your pocket and quickly Uber them? When you make a ballsy play like that, it's essentially like filling your Uber up at 75%. There's a lot of interesting tech you can do with this weapon if you play it smart. Another thing that this thing is famous for, crits. This is the poster child for random crits. You see, the Uber saw... Wait, that wasn't even an Uber saw. Do Medic's melee weapons really random crit that much? Okay, I'm not even going to try. You already get the point. And that's the Medic for you. Running into a really good Medic who spreads his heals around is never not a joy, especially in casual mode. I love running into selfless Medic mains when I'm in a more tryhardy match, as it means it's going to be hard for the team to lose. It's pretty fun to bulldoze an entire team after a long stalemate, and who helps do that better than Medic? Godlike power at his fingertips after a while, and it feels euphoric to pick the exact right moment to use it and claim victory. I'm having a lot of fun here, so I think I'm going to keep playing as Medic for a bit longer.
Me away.
I'm holding.
Alright! I'll talk about my main in the next episode. Next time on Let's Play Team Fortress 2, we're going to be taking a look at everyone's least favorite Australian outbacker, the Sniper. See you guys in the next episode.
How?
Because Valve...
Let me in.
Winners don't give up. Winners also just don't do it. No! Ah! Copy delays medic chaining. You have like 4 medics. We're all just pocketing the Sniper.
So,
I
like,
got in.
No! That was probably scary for a split second. I can feel myself slowly fading away.
I can feel the smooth.
there is no light inside your soul.
It's only dark, yet darker.
Oh no. There's no
Ah!
light. There's only fire.
He got 2 random crits. Don't let the flame die out.
Don't let the flame die out.
Was that? Is that an elemental reference?
I was referencing SpongeBob. I think it was the movie.
It's mental health.
Well, wait a minute. Oh!
I still say we just find a community.
Because it was working fine with me and Gaming when I queued with Gaminator. So
Actually, is Gamerator?
Gamerator, okay, Gatorator.
Yeah, Gatorade.
Ha!
Gatorade.
Is it?
Wait, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. This is a bad idea.
Oh.
You should do it. It's a great idea.
He's using the Vitus Saw, the absolute madman.
No, Gatorator, you need to listen to the voices in your head, mainly me.
Listen to the voice in your head calling for help.
I'm not
Help
insane.
me.
I'm not insane. The
trying.
voices in my head say I'm not.
Something
Whoa!
funny, dude. You do it for the
something funny
babes,
with
dude. Do it for the babes.
Something funny with your life. Make a YouTube channel.
Joke's on you, I already have. Oh, okay.
Make a new one!
I have like another one that I don't use. I plan on making a bit more use out of later on. After
Make
the
another
series
one
is done.
then, I don't care.
My name is
Alright, watch as I fuck it up.
How do I?
Behind you.
No!
How do I join? How do I join?
Oh. In that one specific
Everyone is
circumstance,
dead.
I wish I was using the Vita Saw.
Really. Very nice. That's a heavy. We gotta go.
Is the
You
circle
Oh, that's a
full
crit
of
heavy.
some-
We gotta go.
Nope, you can't take him. Oh my god.
is the
He's
server
after
full of
me!
Oh, nice stab. Nice stab by Ice Steel Flannels.
No, no, I got stuck on the door. No, no,
I
crap.
got you.
Okay.
I got you. You're fine. You're fine. Oh.
He gave up, the poor man.
Oh.
Oh, hold on, yeah.
Oh, damn. Okay. Ah, okay.
That pyro's gone.
He just flew. Oh god.
Use.
You were about half a second too late. I didn't even realize I had it. Oops.
Yeah. All right.
All part of my plan, I swear.
I know you're trying to just footage. Just use it again. Use it again.
No!
Pull it out.
Ugh.
That actually would have been an amazing clip to show off that the amputator can save you from pyros. Because it does protect you from afterburn. It gives you extra health regen.
I didn't realize until it was too late. Oopsie. Oh! Buddy, I need you to not.
I did.
Headache.
Oh! I saw you trying to trick stab me. There we
You
go.
guys ever have the performing
Hello,
for
you're
you
here.
if you know the
my
words
God.
you can
join
fuck
in
into?
two. Put your
I got
hands
some-
together if you wanna clap as we take you through this monkey rap.
BK. Burger King.
BM. That was.
18 right now, by the way. 18 kills. 18 kill streak.
Wow, I sleep on the amputator.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
Yeah.
No wonder it hasn't gotten a bad weapon academy. It's actually pretty okay. It's not great.
It should get a pretty okay weapon academy video.
A
It's
somewhat
just,
decent.
way too overshadowed by the
Uber
It's
saw.
just,
The
Or
Uber
saw.
melee.
I'm pretty sure
it's just-
every single one of Medic's melees are overshadowed by the.
I was gonna say
right,
the
though.
overpowered saw, but Uber literally just means like super. I was popping off that game.
I wasn't killing them, but I'm the reason
I
they're
would have popped
dead.
off. I would have popped off if I didn't have to research it too.
I am 18-0. I didn't even die.
You started a diner? What the hell?
Thank you, medic.
It's a nice little
You were
diner.
very good.
Hey, it's mine.
Yeah. I do
What
like the
the
diner. I just
hell?
feel like
What?
Holy
what?
shit! I can't believe it.
we
Did
gotta.
Was that
What?
only me? Was that only me? That my game like jittered